Yeah. And then if you want, we can talk numbers and stuff as far as how
Okay,
much was picked up. And
going live. You're listening to WKDW Radio 97.5 and KDWRadio.com, broadcasting from the Bishop West Real Estate Mobile Tower right here in Northport, Florida. I've got a very special guest in the house today, but we're going to start out with real quick. We've got the casino night coming up. We've got the fundraiser at the high school with the theater and the dance crew. We've had that posted on Friday's show. Please pay attention to what's happening in our community. Support what's going on. They're going to have a great event over at the high school. That show was filled with information. If you're looking to get involved, just call the high school, find out how to get there, or pull the video up on Real Talk 97.5 on Facebook and follow the instructions in that show. I pretty much believe you could watch the whole show and figure it out, or if you don't have time to watch the whole hour, go to the back half of that show. They really could use some really good sponsors. And if everybody just did a little bit, they do their job and supply a lot. So keep that in mind. If everybody just really helps them out, it is a very good supporting cast. It does help a lot of those kids at the high school level that need some help and assistance. So keep that in mind. And let's go Northport. Let's have a great 2023 for Northport. And parents, just keep supporting, keep doing. From the elementary schools all the way up to the middle, and then right on into the high school. We've got to grow this community. We're 82,000 strong now, and we've really got to put some grease to the wheels and make sure that we're supporting our youth all the way through high school. So I've got a very special guest, as I said. I want to bring Billy into the house. Mr. Carlson, how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Not doing too bad. We've had quite the updates from Public Works, and you and I were talking about some things just prior to all this. So I will go ahead and hit those up. Let's talk about post-hurricane cleanup and some roads that are opening back up. And can you kind of give that overview of where we're at right now?
Okay, so we hit kind of a big milestone over the last couple of days. As many of you obviously know, there was a monumental cleanup effort that has taken place since Hurricane Ian left. So I believe, I don't have the final loads numbers, almost 43,000 loads of hurricane debris between C&D home debris and vegetative debris. We got up to nearly 2.4 million cubic yards of debris. We had a little over 230,000 of that was C&D debris that we've had over on Orlando Boulevard at our debris management site there. As you all well know now, we've had that road kind of closed down between Price and Veterans as a management site there. We've kept the public off that road. The good news is all of the C&D debris has been moved out of Northport, has been moved to its final resting place outside the city. The site is being cleaned up now. When they're done cleaning it up, we will take a soil sample to make sure there are no residual effects from all the hurricane debris being hosted at that site. Once that soil sample comes back clear, they'll do kind of final prep work to return it to as close as possible to pre-debris state. Yep. And then once all that is done, which should hopefully be soon, we will have Orlando Boulevard back open to normal everyday traffic.
Awesome. So, we've kind of gone through all that. Talk about the site itself and what you guys had to go through to get that site blocked off, and really, why did we have to do that?
Well, the big part was getting the site cleared for a site that we can use as a hurricane debris management site. They do soil samples before we used it so that they had that on record, so that when we take soil samples afterwards, we can get it all matched up, everything clears, it's clean, it's good to go. And then obviously blocking this site off, it's not as well traveled as obviously a Price Boulevard or Cranberry or Chamberlain, but it's still going from Port Charlotte to Northport is a pretty heavily traveled shortcut.
Yep.
So we've had to inconvenience some folks. Thankfully, the side streets that come off of it a little bit, there are other ways to get there, but there's not really any homes on those side streets connecting straight to Orlando. So we had that going for us. But to have this roadway blocked off, I think it's been a good 2 months now, if not longer than that. We are ready to open it back up. We're ready to say goodbye to the C&D debris. Obviously, it's been a trying couple of months for everybody. And this is it's one step closer to getting back to normal, bringing Northport just a little bit normal, a little bit closer to regular everyday life.
Can you give us some updates on like the lighting and different things like that were affected by the hurricane? We still are not up to kind of the post-hurricane 100% lighting and everything done along our roadways, correct?
Correct. So we still have some areas where lights are out. Public Works staff is still working hard to get to the lights, the street lights and stuff that we manage. There are days you can drive down Toledo Blade and see them, you'll see them working on one lamp, and then you come back 20 minutes later, they're moving on to the next. And obviously some of it is just the sheer volume of damage that we've dealt with. Some of it is supply issues. We're not the only ones in the area who were slammed by a Cat 5 hurricane. So there's a lot of demand for the same supplies that we're using to get these things fixed up. Along those same lines, we've had supply issues getting all the street signs and everything like that in the smaller neighborhoods, the less common streets that we didn't have necessarily backstock on. Obviously roads like Price Boulevard, Chamberlain, Cranberry, Salford, Sumter, big roads like that, Biscayne, we've got some backup on those, obviously before the storm hit. But some of your smaller streets, a Dolore out in the estates, or Elkram out there in the estates, some of the roads off of Atwater, the smaller roads off of Cranberry and things like that, we don't necessarily have a lot of backstock on. So it's taken a little bit of time to get some of those back. The stop signs, that's why, immediate post-storm effort was to get the stop signs up. Wasn't necessarily to code. That's why you've seen some that they look like they're 4 feet tall, and others look like they're perfectly normal stop signs. And the emphasis there was, let's get the stop signs back up. Obviously, it's a safety issue, so we wanted to get those back up as quick as possible. And then once we've got them all back up, then go ahead and bring them back up to code. I can tell you on our side, we've got well over 100 work orders for street signs. And I know the effort has been even larger than that. We've been replacing as we see them, as they're reported to us and requested to us. So there still has been a massive effort to this point, and continues to be, after today as well.
Let's throw in the North Report app now.
Okay.
And kind of highlight that and tell people why they should follow that, use it, and end result when you do.
Okay, so we've talked about it before on the show, but we've got a lot of staff working hard every day, but that doesn't mean that we're on every street, every back road, things like that. Every day we have eyes in a lot of places, but we don't have eyes everywhere. So we kind of lean on our residents to be that extra set of eyes. Obviously, you live on your street. We may not be on your street any given day, but you're there every day. If you've got an issue, the quickest way to get it resolved is to let us know it's there. So we've got the North Report app. We've got it on the website. I believe it's northportfl.gov/North Report. You can go on there, submit your ticket, submit your location, let us know what's wrong. A lot of them I have seen hundreds on the backside for us come across for street signs and stop signs, and we get them in and we're trying to address them as quickly as we can. But what happens now is you submit it, someone responds, says, "Hey, we've got your request. Here's a work order number." You follow along in the process. If it's taking longer than maybe you felt like it should take, you can always give us a call, Public Works Customer Service. That's at 941-240-8050. Give them the work order that was given to you and just let them know, hey, we're just looking for an update, and we'll be happy to give you an update if we have one.
With everything that's been going on, we actually had a really cool event over at STC, which was the update on the city and how everything was going there. Great event put on by the Chamber of Commerce. Can you talk about the relationship that you guys have with the Chamber of Commerce and how that's really worked well with the city during this transition with the hurricane?
Absolutely. So I know it's not necessarily my department, but I know one of the big things that we had going for us post-storm was our economic development branch department made a point to reach out to all of our locally owned businesses and all the business owners, to reach out to them and find out, how did you fare? Is there, what can we do to help? What resources do you need? Everything like that. And obviously, being in tune with all those businesses, the Chamber of Commerce is a big help in being able to let us know, this is where we can help. And we want to obviously help all of our local business owners. We want to help the businesses that are here, they're locally owned. We want to help them grow. We want to make sure that they're good to go. It's a mutually beneficial relationship for us and for the local business owners. It helps us grow the city. It helps them grow their businesses. In partnering with the Chamber of Commerce, it's an important connection there to keep us, in tune with our local business owners for sure.
So I want to give the kudos out there because it really truly was a great event. Bill does a great job at the chamber. The fact that our city manager gave such a great outlook on our city, where we're at. Can you talk a little bit about, and I if you don't have this, then feel free to tell me. I haven't had the interaction, but how is the interaction now that we have? Looks to be a really solid mayor in place, and the feeling inside of the walls of City Hall, I think, are just excited about 2023. Can you talk a little bit about the relationship that you guys have at Public Works and how that feels right now?
Absolutely. I think, it's with the way 2022 ended, it was a little rough, but it's something we're all working hard to make sure that 2023 is the best it can be. And, I think it starts at the top. City Manager Jerome is very, if you ever interacted with him, he's a very positive person. He's all about good vibes. And that kind of helps push the positivity through all the other departments. It's hard to be negative when you're getting that super positive note from the top. So, all the departments, we're out here working hard, to make sure that this is the best year that it can be. And again, it starts at the top. It starts with Jerome. It starts with the commissioners. I think mostly everybody is pretty much on the same page. And we want to make sure that this hurricane is not something that's going to stop our progress for sure.
And the camaraderie that is happening within City Hall that took place prior to this, but I want to talk a little bit about what you felt after the hurricane and how people had to really pull resources and efforts together?
Absolutely. I mean, it's the thing is like we've talked about this before. Most of us that work for the city are residents of Northport, and even the ones that live in Port Charlotte or live in Venice or nearby, towns, we all went through this very serious storm together. So, we all were very understanding of each other. Everybody knows we've all had the same plight. And as we saw after the storm, the best way for us all to build back up is to help each other out, neighbors helping neighbors. And so, in recovering from the storm, departments we're all working together. If especially the big one is Price Boulevard. It's easy to go, hey, Public Works, open the road. It was a lot of utilities work too. Both departments worked pretty well together to make sure that we had, the water lines moved that needed to be moved. We had everything repaired as quickly as we could. And as soon as they had things ready to go, we were ready to go to get the road paved and fixed back up and reopened. So it helps that, again, we've all gone through this thing together. It's not, well, one department had this traumatic event and everybody else just kind of looking on from the sidelines. We were all in this together. We all experienced this together. We all understood what we were facing, the task at hand. And I would say we've all been pretty well on the same page, in our work to recover and build back. I hate to steal, Biden's build back better, but build back even better than we were before and keep the progress going forward.
Well, and you look at situations like this when they force great relations to become even stronger and better. Do you think that it's helped you plan for future events at a much greater level than you anticipated before?
Sure. I will tell you on a personal level, when we had it on our radar when the storm was coming, we all, okay, here comes another hurricane, all right, when we're ready. Okay. And so, you pack a bag, and I got a couple shirts just in case. I got my sleeping bag or whatever, just in case, but we've been down this road before. Okay. And then for things to obviously go the way they did, every once in a while something comes along like this and it just reminds you how serious it can be. And so next time we're obviously going to be better prepared. And as far as things like price, being able to take into account what we've learned with this storm, we can utilize that when we eventually get to widening Price Boulevard. Now we know, well, we need to account for this because just in case, sure, it's a 500-year storm or it's a 1,000-year storm, it could be a 1,000,000-year storm, but we experienced it and we know it's possible. Now we're better prepared for it. Like I tell my kids, sometimes you goof, sometimes you make mistakes, sometimes you don't get the answer right on your test. The important thing is you learn from it, you grow from it, and you use it to make yourself better.
Absolutely. And I threw up some comments. Anybody out there listening on the radio, I appreciate you. I do this live on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter. Please share this. But if you jump on Facebook, Real Talk 97.5, Kevin Rouse, thank you so much for throwing some comments out there. Axe House, if you're looking to throw some axes, go out there and visit Kevin and his family. They've got a great little business going over there. It's a great time. It is truly a lot of fun. Kevin, do your thing, bro. And why don't you put your business link on as a comment too, so people know where you're at. I appreciate you and everybody who's listening right now. I really do appreciate everything you guys do for the city as far as helping us share the message from Real Talk Radio 97.5. the special part of this is that Public Works has the fourth Monday of every month. The value of that is we get to hear how great things are going with Public Works. We also get updates. I want to talk about a little hot button right now,
Okay.
and you know the hot button for me, and it's not ours. How about this one? I'm setting you up nice for this one. Hot
Okay.
button. How about the roundabout going up in the Fort Welles Park area?
I knew it was coming. I knew it
I
was coming.
I figured
So,
I'd get it out of your way.
so I got a request from my boss about 2:30 Friday and said, "Hey, he had got an email from Josh Taylor, as our PIO for PD, had given him an update that the plan was to start work on the 23rd. That's today. Said, hey, can you get something together and try to get something on social by Sunday to let people know this is happening." And we all know how everybody feels about roundabouts. They're immensely popular with the folks down here.
Yep.
Obviously, everybody just loves a good roundabout.
Woo!
And you add in the hot button issue of Welland Park. And I said, all right, I'll get something together as best I
Yeah.
can. And we
Woohoo!
posted it. We scheduled it for, I think it was noon yesterday. And I knew there was going to be a little bit of back and forth. But when I pulled up my phone and pulled up Facebook, and it actually just came, naturally into my personal feed from the city
Yep.
post. It was like 2 hours later, and there's 200 something comments. Like, oh man, I'm sure it's just nothing but healthy debate. I'm sure. So it's actually not a city project.
It is not.
They are working with FDOT. It is being paid for. This is the biggest thing that we tried to emphasize when we noted that the crews were contracted by the West Villages Improvement District. It is being paid for by the folks at Welland Park, and they are working in conjunction with FDOT. I know there were some people that thought we were taking out a light. The traffic light there by the Brave Stadium is still there. The next light down is still there. It's actually, the roundabout is going in for the street that comes off by the apartment complex that's there, the high-end apartments right there. So to give people a heads up, they are shutting down one lane each way. And then I have to look, I believe it's westbound. They're moving the traffic to westbound after they're done with this phase. All the traffic will be on one side while they begin working the crossovers on the other. And they tentatively gave us the 30th as the date when they'd start that work, but they also tentatively gave us the 23rd to start this work. And I've seen some residents comment that it hasn't started yet, but sometimes it goes that way. They tell us for sure, oh yeah, we're for sure starting this day, and then something happens, they start a day later, but this week they should be working on that.
And those are good updates. That Kevin throws out a couple of stats here, a little bit, or at least some data. Roundabout save lives, and I got to tell you, I'm not a fan of a roundabout for a lot of reasons. I understand why we're doing them. I would probably acknowledge that there's probably some data out there to support the safety issues of a roundabout. I just throw some caution in the wind. Just take your time,
Right.
Figure it out. Look at what you're getting into, and the worst thing you could do is rush into the middle of that when you don't know exactly where you're going.
Right.
So make sure you do have a plan of attack, and know where you're going before you get in there, and don't make any sharp, quick decisions. If you miss your turn, the nice thing about a loop is it comes back around. So,
It's very true. I will say the intersection at Jacaranda, I think it's Jacaranda and Venice Ave, that roundabout. I personally have not had any issues at that roundabout other than having to wait. I think typically as long as you're patient, you'll get there.
I agree.
They're a different kind of beast. But there are studies that have shown, and I know they when I was still working at the newspaper, the Charlotte Sun, and laying out stories for the Venice Gondolier and stuff, I know they did a study where yes, accidents were up, but the seriousness of those accidents was way down, and fatalities were way down because instead of you go through the intersection, somebody runs a red light and T-bones you at a high rate of speed, it's very hard to T-bone when everybody's going round. They're more, it's side on side impact or front end on front end, corner impacts, things like that. And I believe that's part of the design idea, is that you're lowering the impact of the actual collisions. You're lowering the idea that, or the possibility of fatalities from those accidents, serious injury from those accidents, serious damage from those accidents. So I personally am not a huge fan of roundabouts. I know there are people who believe in them and they have their reasons. And somebody with the West Villages Improvement District and the Florida Department of Transportation agreed that a roundabout is okay there. And that's, if they've agreed on that, then that's where we're at.
Well, and you brought up the fact that it's a state road, so there is some different players involved with that decision making, isn't there?
Right. So that is up to the discretion of FDOT, much like our highway interchanges at Toledo Blade and Sumter. It's up to them to be on board with making that change. I'm not sure exactly who it is with the West Villages Improvement District that pitched that idea to FDOT, but it's something they have to sell them on the feasibility of it and the need for it. And if FDOT says, all right, you're good, then they've done their homework. I'm assuming they're not going in blind.
Right.
And of course we all know what assuming does sometimes, but I'm trusting that they've done their homework and they've determined. But the biggest thing we want to ensure is that people understand this is not coming off the average taxpayer's money. This is being funded by the West Villages Improvement District.
And that's a big ordeal. That's huge. So how is the relationship now with Northport West Village area and Public Works? Are you guys finding that the reception is good from that area with cleanup and different things now within Public Works?
Absolutely. I believe we've got a good working relationship with them. Our solid waste division obviously still collects from them every Monday. And we work cooperatively with them as far as, for instance, we had an issue this week where they had a contractor replacing mulch beds and left it by the curbside, and we weren't picking up. And then a few neighbors called and said, "Hey, why didn't this get picked up?" I say, "Hey, man, this is the responsibility of your landscaping company." And they go, "Okay, we'll get it taken care of." If we've seen issues, hey, we know this is cropping up. Would you mind re-educating your residents? We've got that. Elizabeth Brown, I forget exactly which neighborhood she's with, but she reaches out to me every few months and says, "Hey, do you have any calendars I can give out? Any solid waste guides?" We work with them to get that information out there. Yes, any kind of road closures in those areas, any changes in solid waste collection. I send out emails to them all the time. So I believe we've got a good working relationship with them. As far as like debris removal and all that stuff, once we had everybody's hold harmless and right of entry agreements signed and notarized and filed away, we were up there. We got it taken care of. So I absolutely think we have a good working relationship with those communities.
And there's something to be said. The more that we have the information flowing to all of Northport and getting updates out there, I had a dinner over at Austin's, the old world, the other day.
Mhm.
Good dinner with the family, and ran into somebody who lived in the Welland Park area. And you know, I like to brag a little bit about Public Works because of how much time we've spent together talking about, one, our canals, and two, our street repairs and different apps and things that you guys are utilizing to make our city a great place to drive.
Right.
Uh, and you know, there are people that want to be part of our community, and there are others who have identified themselves as want to separate themselves and not be part of Northport.
Right.
Uh, I, I I tend to call BS on those people a lot of times, and I want to understand their point of delivery. Sometimes I can't understand their point of delivery because they're new to the area. They don't understand anything. They've been lied to by a builder on where they live, and they take that to another level. And I get the misleading information there, but it wasn't caused by the city of Northport. But one of the things I threw out was that if that area, and we do have areas of separation within the Northport area, and then going back into the county and then over to Northport again. And so we do have some separation there. I want you to talk a little bit about waste management and what the difference is between their collection in the county for waste and their recycle program, and what the impact is from what we do and how we treat it, and why it's greater for the taxpayer.
Well, here's one thing that I feel like we have a tremendous advantage over waste management with solid waste, and that is when you have an issue with your garbage, your recycling, whatever it may be, if you call up Public Works customer service 941-240-8050, and say, hey, they missed my garbage, it didn't get collected, can you please get this taken care of? You're speaking to someone in Northport who's going to speak to a truck driver in Northport and ask them if they can make their way back out there when they're available. And it typically will get taken. If you call us on your day, we'll do our best to be back out there that same day to get it taken care of. When you build a house and you get your CO and you're cleared to move in, you call up and say, hey, I just moved in, just got my CO. Here's the proof. I need my garbage cans. We're out there on your next collection day. Here's your cans. We have someone here who is building a house in Charlotte County, also collected by Waste Management, and they told him 2 to 3 months out before he can get his garbage and recycling cans. What do you do without garbage and recycling cans for 3 months? And they said, well, just bag it and set it out. Okay, well, what about the animals and things like that? It gets in it. Well, we don't pick that up. So you're telling us you're not going to give us cans. And if the animals get into it, well, it's just our problem. We are not doing that. There is no chance you're going to get your brand new house and get your CO and call it solid waste, and we're going to go, 3 months. So everybody's experience obviously is not going to be the same, whether it's solid waste or whether it's waste management. But when you're dealing with solid waste, you're dealing directly with Northport. There's not a management company over us. There's not any layers of bureaucratic nonsense, different layers of the corporation. If you call Public Works, you are talking to Northport. You're talking to somebody here local who's going to pass that issue directly to somebody here local, and we're going to take care of it as quick as we can. I think most people would agree, solid waste does a phenomenal job, especially when you compare it to collection in other areas around us.
Well, and let's attack this a little bit different here right now, because I want to dredge out some other points. Is that we are very conscientious as a society now about what our landfills are about and how they affect future living. Let's talk about the impact that we're having with our recycling program on not just the impact of landfill, but the dollar amount that we save and what type of product we can buy, such as a truck, and kind of build those two things together for me on the financial side.
Sure. So we pay more to dispose of solid waste material than we do for recycling. Even when we don't get a kickback on our recycling, the last couple months have been a little rough given all the hurricane things, and as we're working to get back to normal, and people get back into their normal habits and things like that. But even in a case where we don't have the cleanest month, we are paying less to dispose of recycling, which is better for the planet and is not filling up a landfill, than we do to dispose of solid waste. And we talked about it when the last time we had Frank on, I think it was back in August. And in that time frame, we were on pace to save enough to buy another truck, which is not cheap. The solid waste trucks, the recycling trucks, they're not cheap vehicles. It's not like going down to, Venice Toyota and saying, "Hey, I want to buy that Tundra right there for $70,000." It's a little bit more pricey. To be able to save that much through just our recycling program to cover the cost of one of those trucks is immense. You're not seeing that in other places. I know we just had an issue come up. Frank spotted it last, I think 2 weeks ago, maybe. There are cities around us who haven't been recycling in months. Like what? I can't fathom that you just, we're just collecting garbage. Well, what about recycling? Just toss it in your garbage can. No, no. We don't want it to go to the landfill. Like you said, there's only so much space. There's only so much space for this stuff. So you have to be cognizant of how much you're sending to landfills. You have to be cognizant of how long it's going to take for things that get sent to the landfill to break down. We when we go to schools and stuff, we tell it to the kids, the first piece of glass ever made is sitting in a museum somewhere. Still a piece of glass. What are we going to throw those in the landfill for? They're going to be there forever. Why would you not recycle that? Glass can be recycled an infinite number of times. Why would you not keep using that?
How effective is Waste Management's recycling program?
That I don't have the numbers. Frank sends them every once in a while. We check in on how others in the area are doing. I don't have Waste Management's track record in front of me. I could do some digging, but I know when we went to our recycling processor up in Sarasota County, when we were up there visiting with them to meet some of their some new staff from their parent company, he made a point to point out right there where we were at SSR, Northport brings the cleanest material of anybody in the area. There's nobody that brings cleaner material than Northport. And as we've spoken about before, when we don't have a high contamination rating, we get a bigger kickback. The more clean material we bring them, the more it can be sold on the secondary market and the larger kickback we get back on that. And granted, recycling is never going to cover the cost of solid waste. It just based on numbers alone, we do far more solid waste than we do recycling. But if we had even numbers, be a little bit closer, for sure. So,
and can we talk about that for a minute? Because I find this to be like this chest pumping, pounding, oh my gosh, celebrate moment, because we're all talking about taxes a lot of times, and we're talking about expenditures, and we're finding ways to get this done and change our community, and we're putting ourselves on the map right now with recycling, okay? And we really are changing a lot up and down the state because we're the leading example, right? So if we're doing all of these things, do you feel like we're at like the 50% participation margin yet, or do we still have a lot of work to do?
I think we still got plenty of work to do. I think Northport in general, our residents do a pretty good job of recycling. And actually, we've got a new one of our truck drivers has converted to a new position, the solid waste planner scheduler. And part of his mission is to go in front of the trucks before they get to their routes and just kind of examine people's recycling, let them know, hey, you're doing a great job, or you could work on this. Just remember this material is not recyclable, that kind of thing. One of the things we take very seriously with it is educating the residents and making sure that they know what is recyclable and what is not recyclable. And I feel like the better educated people are, the more they do recycle. And I think the level of clean material that we've brought just in the year and a half, almost 2 years now that I've been here, the fact that since I've been here, we've had more months in the black than in the red in recycling speaks volumes. And it's not just our work, sorting through the material at our recycling center. A lot of that is our residents. So I feel like obviously we could all recycle more. Anybody could recycle more than they do now, for sure. But I do think in general, our residents do a pretty good job.
And the beauty here is we do a pretty good job as a community, and it's really based upon the fact that you guys are really on top of it. We've talked about this in the past shows about getting information out, providing Newcomers Day awareness that way. You're very involved in trying to push information out. One could look at that a different way, and I look at it as an extremely positive. The relationship that you're building out from Public Works is an extremely positive reputation out into our community. So it makes it much easier for people to feel like they're anchored into, I think, a loving, careful community itself. And it's a great anchor to have Public Works, just like, any of our services. But Public Works it's pretty huge when you think about every facet about what Public Works actually does for our city. So with all that being said, what are some of the things that 2022 kind of highlight some of the things that 2022 brought Public Works in general, do the umbrella kind of thing, and just highlight some things that you guys have kind of noticed in 22 that were different.
That were different?
Well, maybe improved.
Okay.
Maybe you see where I'm going with this?
Sure.
Because you had so many challenges,
right,
that you had to fight through. And we talk about those, but you still had to do your jobs.
Right.
So what were some of the things that you found to be collectively kind of an amazing feat that you guys did in the Public Works Department to get things done?
Well, I think the biggest thing, and this is, I don't know how many people know, but our operations department the building was, I believe, condemned like 2 days after the hurricane. It's unusable. And so all of our guys now come through the main admin building. Everybody comes here, but we have not seen a drop off in effort. We've not seen a drop off in, what's the word here? I mean, the chemistry is off the charts. We haven't seen a drop off in morale. People still come every day, work hard every day, bring their best every day. Price Boulevard, that could have taken way longer than it did. We're taking the lessons we learned there. We've got crews that are working now on clearing the canals and the retention ditches, especially like out in the estates where just all kinds of trees fell down in these ditches. They're out in mass working on these to clear those out, clear the trees out, because we're still getting rain. We saw it last night, still got heavy rain last night. And so we still obviously need our drainage systems to work.
Right.
So we had a few areas, obviously the water control structure back behind Winn-Dixie. We had an issue where the land around it eroded and the water was going around, and that's since been hardened. And again, we've learned some lessons, and we're applying what we've learned and how we make it better. So that shoreline there is a little more hardened than it was before. And again, like we said before, ideally this is really just a 500-year storm. We don't see it again for another millennium, but we know if we've experienced it, it's possible. So how do we get better? How do we make ourselves more hardened for the next time? So we've got that, that happening. We're looking at, the big thing is this happened before we widened price, so that we are not doing twice the work again. The cost that it would take to redo the work we did for 2 lanes or 4 lanes all the way down the road would have been even more astronomical. So if you want to take a positive that we haven't widened price yet, that may be it. We have time now to apply these lessons that we've learned. How do we not have this issue again after we pay whatever the final, dollar amount ends up being to widen price? How do we make sure that we don't have another storm like this and wash out all these crossings again? So I think the biggest positive we've taken from the last 3 months is how we can take these lessons, we can apply them to what we're doing, how we can do them better, and be better prepared for the next potential storm.
And I'm glad you brought those points up, because we miss things. The this instant gratification, instant reward that everybody's into right now. I think people tend to forget exactly what it takes to build roads and bridges and get things moving back in such a quick and focused manner.
Right.
That road, normally you don't have in any city access in 4 different spots on the same road caused by the same storm. And I don't know that anybody else had that up and down the coast. And it's unique all by itself, because we are unique all by itself.
Right.
I want to talk a little bit, and we got about 6 minutes left, about what it's going to take to get our canals, since we had already done a lot of work there now or prior to the storm. What's it going to take us to get these canals back to where we were prior to Ian on flow and debris?
Well, they have done a lot of work. Our boat crews, our airboat crew has done a lot of work to get debris out of the waterways where they can get to, the free flowing waterways. So we've done some of that. I know they had shut down, or they lowered the water level between, where was it? Was it Chamberlain? I believe it was Chamberlain down to where the Cocoa Plum runs behind the Cocoa Plum shopping center. Had lowered the level there so we could do some work to restore the edges there. So to be honest, a lot of it is just time. It's time and hard work. There's no, like you said, there's no easy fix. There's no quick fix. You don't just pull up the photo, erase a few spots in Photoshop, and restore the photo. Okay, good to go. A lot of it is time, and that's why we've tried to emphasize patience. Debris pickup and stuff, we've tried to emphasize patience. And as you've seen there, in 3.5 months, we've got 2.3 million cubic yards of debris off the roadsides And now one of our debris management sites, C&D debris stuff is gone. It's out. We're,
Yep.
we're just to the point where we can open that roadway. I can tell you, as somebody who lives in the estates, there were a few roads about mid-October that I never thought we would see people's homes again from the road, because I mean you're talking trees and trunks and branches and everything stacked 10 feet high down both ends of the road as far as the eye can see. And you look at that and you go, man, we're never going to see these neighbors like ever again, because you can't see their homes from the street, you can't see their driveway from the street. And to see the streets now the way they are, I mean, it's monumental. It's so again, I just think it's going to take patience. It's going to take time. It's going to take hard work. And I know our staff are out there. They're working hard every single day. Our mowing staff is out there every day, mowing areas of the city to keep everything looking clean and clear and looking spot on. Our contractors, they handle some of our areas mowing. They're working out there hard every day. Our drainage maintenance crews are out there working hard every day on top of the grid project we already had going on. We've got our other crews working out on the retention ditches and things like that to clear them out and get them back to where we need them to be. Again, it's hard work. It's patience. It's going to take time. There's no quick, easy fix. It's not like the old Office Depot commercials where you hit the easy button and it's done. We just got to keep working.
Let's end the show with North Report app again and the value that brings to the consumer and to the city.
Absolutely. So it's the North Report app. It's free to download, free to use. You don't have to pay anything to use it. We've got it on the website, northportfl.gov/North Report. Go in there. If you've got an issue, you feel like it's been neglected, it may just be that we haven't seen it yet. Let us know. Go in, submit your ticket, and it'll get turned into a work order, and we'll keep you updated along the way as things get moved along, and then we'll update you when it's done and fixed. And if it's good to go, you're good to go. If we miss something with it, you can let us know, and we'll take another look.
And that's a great way for the consumer, the public, one, to bring awareness to the city, get things moving quickly, get things scheduled quicker if they're not already on the books, but also talk about the update and what that brings to the consumer itself, because I think that's the most valuable part of this. Is you never know if people understand what's happening, but that app really does something cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So, I mean, the big thing is it'd be easy to just submit it and then you never hear back. And then, well, maybe they got it, maybe they didn't, or, I don't know what's happening with it. To be able to get an update, here's where it stands, or, hey, we've taken care of this, it's all good to go now, it's invaluable, especially if it's something that, you noticed while you were driving your kids to school and, you saw it once and you're not sure if it ever got taken care of. And you can find out, yep, we took care of it. This is what we did. It's good to go. It's getting that note of completion can be satisfying.
It is. I've done it. I know for a fact. I've taken pictures of road signs and different things. I've gotten feedback right away. One, that they got it, and then two, when it's complete. And I'll be just driving down the road and I'll get an update. And it's amazing to me that we're doing that. And what a great service to give back to our community. I think it's outstanding.
Absolutely.
So thank you guys so much at Public Works for being innovative. This is John Rawlings with Real Talk Radio, 97.5 FM, saying Public Works, have a great night. Billy Carlson, thank you so much for being part of it. Kevin Rouse, thanks for being a participant and throwing some comments out there. I hope everybody else shares this video. Have a great night, you guys. I'll talk to you on Monday.
Bye, guys.
Or I'm sorry, Friday. Thank you.